In the past year, there was a lot more like direct cruelty from strangers in the world. Every time that I was leaving the house, there was people mocking me or like pointing at me and laughing at me or like just openly trying to belittle me in some way. And what's so strange is that that was happening really strongly every time I left the house, at least once, for a full year. And when I made that video naming it and saying, this is happening, I'm sure this is happening to other people out there as well, let's keep being free. Like, you know, let's just keep letting ourselves be free. Let's not mute ourselves. Let's not hide ourselves. Keep being free, keep going out, keep doing what we're doing. When I did make that, it stopped.
Wow. I just posted something today that's been brewing around seeing all of the driverless cars around LA. It is fucking freaky.
Yeah.
And then it just sort of overlapped a little bit learning how to use Chat GPT because Lily keeps telling me how great it is. I can just tell when something has been put in there and like someone is speaking to you from that place. And it just, that really makes me angry. I mean, that could replace what the spirit and the soul of a human being.
Right. But it never can. That's the thing. I don't like it can't. You know what I mean?
It can't.
You can't like replicate a soul through technology, like the flaws and the intricacies and the complexity, you know, not to shade AI. I don't know. Who knows how a soul happens, but it's hard with AI because that's not a tangible thing. But for anything tangible, like the self-driving cars, I truly think that the key is to stick googly eyes on all of them. And then it's a sweet little creature and it stops being, well, it's still creepy, but it's more of a creature.
Yeah, there's something about it that really, really triggers me. But what I fear is the amount of people that think that you can Google authenticity or individuality, fitting into what a machine or a corporate marketing machine tells you.
Right.
You know, like looking at you right now, seeing you like the minute that you came on the screen, ooh, like it makes me so happy. There's in no way would I not look at you and want to like know everything about you.
That's so sweet.
But I find that a lot of people, some of this might have to do with age and time. Like I was part of a time before this. I can see how people will like look at me. They'll see me pass by or look at me with holes or Victorian dresses or like whatever I happen to be wearing. And it's like I'm like a foreign object. I find that there's just less and less recognition because there's more and more brainwashing.
Right. Yeah. I think that makes sense. I think talking about technology, like there's a lot more access to things to brainwash you. So.
Right. And then there's the opposite. We can do what we're doing now. And we can, you know.
So true.
It's both. It's both. Like
both.
Everything. Like everything. And I really love the way you turn it into something positive. Like I love the way that you said to put the stickers. I like your positive spin. That didn't go unnoticed. And do you want to elaborate on that a little bit? Is that typical of you?
Yeah, sometimes to the annoyance of my friends. I need to have hope and light and whimsy. And I hope not in a kind of, it's not actually, I don't hope it not in a toxic, like everything needs to be happy and whatever, because I'm deeply emotional and feel things in their entirety. And I can sob and be angry and grieve and be low. But even through all of that, I also intrinsically feel just a beauty and a whimsy and a magic. And I do everything I can to remind myself of that and to not deny that. The gnarl is a part of it. Like the darkness is a part of it. Between all of it, there's also simultaneously this like hum of something more. It sounds trippy. It's hard to articulate.
I get it.
Yeah, exactly. I know you do. Just this hum of something beyond the horror in all of our souls. That is just magical. There's no other word for it, I think.
It has saved my life. that hum. Yeah, it has saved my life because of my sensitivity and the difficulties, whatever, that I've had, like, and that we all have. That escape for me, it's been like an escape into beauty.
Completely. And I think like sometimes that can get clouded, like our connection to that, it can get clouded by the things that are put into us throughout our life. And that's my intention with my life, is I want to try to like uncloud that for myself and for other people. That's all I want to do.
That is, wow. That doesn't get more, to me, brave. I truly believe that aligning with your heart in that way is literally the only way. But it takes a lot of bravery. So talking about that, can we hear about what you're wearing and what your style says about you?
For sure. This is a t-shirt that I dyed. I'm very particular about shades being exact.
Wait, what is the periwinkle? Which is
Periwinkle.
that? Is that that's my favorite color.
I love periwinkle.
And the green in the periwinkle is fully, absolutely, I'm exploding.
I'm so pleased. Thank you. Yeah.
So is that the t-shirt or is that the scarf?
This is the t-shirt the t-shirt I dyed, because they don't sell a periwinkle cotton dye, at least not that I've found. So you have to color mix it, like, it's a tinkering process. This is just cotton fabric, but in grape mist that I've cut into a scarf that I wear all the time. And then I have brooches that I've found in
Oh my God.
corners of the internet.
They are sick, amazing.
It's about the jumbling, but each one has a intentional meaning behind it. Like I have a green pepper because I like cooking. I have a fish because I like to swim. I love the ocean and water. Birds for freedom, flowers for beauty.
I love them all clustered and everything. It makes me want to go pull. I have like all these old ones like in a bag.
Yeah, I also have a bag, and so some of these are newer, and some of these are from the brooch bag. Got to have a bag of brooches.
And I love and the green. Let's hear about the hair.
I have to have green hair,
and that color green.
Yeah.
Is just so it like you want to eat it.
You're welcome to. It won't taste good.
Also, the periwinkle makes you want to like eat it.
It's true. Yeah, candy clothes.
Yeah, and the earrings, are they like in your ears or where are those?
They're braid charms.
Do you make them, the braid charms?
Yeah, these are like cheap, like drag queen earrings, and I break off the earring and I super glue them to a clip. Here's another one. Ha-cha-cha.
Yeah, they're gorgeous. So are you inspired by like Baroque or Renaissance paintings?
Yeah, I am inspired by Baroque, just like frames, like picture frames and like furniture, makeup, like the opulence and the extravagance.
It's incredible, all of it together. And so what would you say that your style says about you?
Clothes are a language, so they're always saying something. To me, mine are saying, I'm creative. I'm interested in whatever this kind of beauty is. I take up space. And I am going to cultivate beauty, my kind of beauty. And that's how I'll live. Yeah.
And have you always felt so free in yourself to express your sartorial expression in this way? Have you always felt the freedom to be yourself?
I think it grew with time. I think I've trapped myself in different ways. Like when I was younger, I think I felt chained by the idea of how a woman is supposed to matter, conventional beauty and thinness and being wanted by men. I think that I felt chained by that. No shade to my family because they're beautiful and vibrant and magical in so many ways, but also there seemed to be an underlying importance on conventional beauty. And then obviously within the world. So
can you explain what that meant to you, conventional beauty?
Well, thinness, my family they are all thin and just like conventionally attractive people. Yeah, pretty good looking, solidly good looking people. I have a different dad than most of my siblings. And I look more like him. He was fat. Yeah, I think I had an eating disorder when I was younger, starved myself, was very thin, and like a drug problem too, quite frankly. Yeah, somehow through aging and bullshit and pain and horror and grief, and coming out of the closet too, and being like, oh wait, but I'm gay. But that doesn't completely unshackle you from it all. Anyhow, yeah, I think I feel more and more free, I hope, with time.
Can you talk a little bit about like the journey, a little, of your getting free, like being comfortable in your body, the unshackling of that to where you are now, which is obviously you're so the opposite of being boxed.
Yeah. So when I moved out on my own, that's when I stopped starving myself and I wasn't really doing drugs anymore.
What did starving yourself look like? Like, what was that literally?
Well, I would probably eat one really restrictive meal a day. And then sometimes I would also throw that up. I was like a little bit chubby before and then lost like 80 pounds in like 2 months and it was just like pretty intense. When I moved out on my own when I was 18, I remember having a radical thought at the time that I was like, wait, what if instead of just I have to look a certain way, and that's the only way that I'll have any kind of like value to other people or any kind of power in this world or like mean something in this world, basically kind of have a right to live mostly. What if I was just like cool, but not in a trying, what if I was just let myself be free? And that was what gave my life meaning or made me matter in some way. So obvious, but it wasn't at the time. And I had a boyfriend, I broke up with him and realized I was gay. And then that was a whole process of I came out and then kind of went back in for a while. And along the way, I'm getting fatter. First of all, I love food. I love cooking. I love eating and the gluttony of it all. And then I'm also just genetically destined to be fat. So I kind of have to reckon with, okay, how do I feel powerful being fat when you're told that is like, I don't know, you shouldn't be, whatever.
When you're told that you basically shouldn't exist.
Yeah, exactly. No, you need to shrink and shrink.
Right.
And the world obviously has that energy. There's just people largely hate fatness. There's a lot of fat phobia. And then also just in my family, there's that energy as well. It's not overt. No one is cruel. Everyone has their own things going on. And fat phobia is so inherent, it feels sometimes. I'm still on that journey. Like I still have insecurities and I still hide my double chin a lot of the time. And my clothes do hide a lot of my body. So there's, it's going to be lifelong of how do you reckon with feeling insecure, but also wanting to feel powerful and free? Feeling insecure,
like at the core kind of in your body. What do you mean by that exactly?
It's tricky because I think like just me, when I'm just me or just even with my partner, I'm like naked all the time, like completely nude. If it's winter now. So usually I like to dance on my balcony every day. But when it's winter, I have to go inside. I dance naked in front of my mirror every day. So I do have joy and acceptance for my body and my form, but I still have fear of how it will be received by the outside world.
How has that been received, and what are assumptions that people make?
There's a lot of kindness and a lot of warmth, certainly. But I would say I talked about this semi-recently online, that in the past year, there was a lot more like direct cruelty from strangers in the world, whether it's like at a restaurant or just walking through the street. Every time that I was leaving the house, there was people mocking me or like pointing at me and laughing at me or like just openly trying to antagonize me or like belittle me in some way. And what's so strange is that was happening really strongly every time I left the house, at least once, for a full year. And when I made that video naming it and saying, this is happening, I just want to, if this is, I'm sure this is happening to other people out there as well. Let's keep being free. Like, let's just keep letting ourselves be free. Let's not mute ourselves. Let's not hide ourselves. Keep being free. Keep going out. Keep doing what we're doing. When I made that, it stopped. And I've only been mocked maybe slightly twice since then. And it's been a few months now. And it was so strange. And I don't have an explanation for it. I think maybe it's just my energy from naming it has shifted in some way, but it's kind of fascinating to me.
Well, I think that when you reclaim something, you take it back. Like it's like you own it. You embraced it. Mm-hmm. And then that's a tremendously powerful act.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was a learning experience for me, I think. Just even like using your voice. I wasn't saying anything directly to these people. I just try to whatever. But yeah, just in some way I felt I used my voice and I spoke something I believed in and I released it. And that I was like, I hadn't used my voice publicly like that in a long time in the same way. And I was like, okay, this feels meaningful.
Yeah, I think that we underestimate the power of those acts. Like every little thing we do, every choice has so much power, has a reverberation. The way that you use your energy, we're energy, we're power. We're like little power beings walking around, and you can turn it up and you can turn it down.
Totally. And exactly what you're saying. I think the ripples that we make are way more profound than we can know. Even the other day, I was dancing on the balcony. A guy walks by. He's wearing the most vibrant outfit, like teal and like a kind of like almost a magenta red. And it's all those colors throughout. And he's listening to music and he stops at the crosswalk and he's dancing so freely. And it sparked so much joy. I'm almost crying thinking about it. It was so joyful and so beautiful to see. And it's so gray and so grim outside. And there's this vibrant spark is letting himself be free. And it was this little moment. It was 7 seconds. And I'll never forget it for the rest of my life. And that guy has no idea.
Right.
And how many people saw him and felt that. And that ripples out in ways we can't imagine. It's the old smile at a stranger story, but it is so beautiful.
No, but I mean, these things are real. It's like when you say that, what is our purpose? What are we doing here? It starts at home inside you. It starts with that. The world, it's so overwhelming with what we're faced with right now in terms of the problems. And this is something that I wrestle with a lot because I can be very kind of martyr, feeling like carrying the world of the weight of my shoulder. I've got to save this. I've got to save, I can, and feel really drained and really not myself and really not good. Or I can be very kind to myself and do the things that I need that make me feel good and make me vibrate at a higher place.
Yeah.
And is that the better way? Is that helping more?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you got to nourish yourself to be able to have the ripples you want for other people. Yeah.
And I think that we may be at an intersection or a crossroads of some kind right now because things seem so overwhelming and there's so much chaos and all of the systems and all the things that we've known are just completely breaking apart and we're creating a new way now. And I think that's part of it. I think that's part of it. Just that act of him dancing on the street is part of it.
He disrupted something. It was so gray. And just by letting himself do what he wanted in that moment. He disrupted something. Like he you know, yeah, it's really cool.
His being his full self, just him being himself without needing an audience, without needing validation, without any of the lower vibrational, insecure energy, just being himself has an effect.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's really cool. It's medicine.
Yeah. And it's like hope. It's
hope.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hope. It's hope. Would we fully answer the assumptions question? Like, what do people assume about you when they see you being like so fully yourself? Like, what do they say?
They say, like, are you going to a party? Like, where are you going? What's, yeah, they just want to understand why. So I'm just like, I just dress like this. I just dress like this. Sometimes, and I live in Montreal, so people speak French. And my French isn't the greatest. So sometimes I'm not really listening to what they're saying. And I just say, oh, I just dress like this. But they weren't talking about that. It's kind of embarrassing. But I don't know what they assume. But it's not the point of it, really, what they assume.
It's definitely not. But what it does is it highlights how you're disrupting. Because that idea, like, are you dressed to go to a party? Mm-hmm. Like, that's one of the things that gets me angry about the world and the brainwashing and everything.
Yeah.
Is that why would you not be?
True.
Why do you have to reserve it for like Burning Man or like a party?
Yeah. I completely agree. And ironically, I don't go to parties. Like right. I don't. So, no, I'm mainly I'm just walking around. There's an abandoned street near where I live, and I just, in the middle of a park, I just walk to and fro. And that's my little activity. I would think there's a fair amount of people that are, warm and like seem to express gratitude that, I'm dressing in color and, however, and then there's, a group. It's usually like, not to stereotype, but just my experience. It's younger men, seem to be bothered by it. I'm not playing the game that I'm supposed to play. I'm not attractive to them. And that, makes them mad. It's fascinating.
And if that doesn't say so much about the moment we're in right now, that moment or that idea or that confrontation says everything about the political moment we're in. It says everything about authoritarianism. It says everything about people feeling so small in themselves that they have to take power from other people. It says it says everything about their not understanding their light.
Precisely. It's sad because they're feeling trapped. They're burdened and they're caged. And it was a lot this year, like before I released the energy or whatever trippy thing happened. It was a lot of like, normally it would be like maybe like 20-year-olds, maybe 30-year-olds previously. This year's a lot of like kids, like younger kids. And I'm like, oh, it makes me sad. It makes me sad. I know, because you don't want our children to feel more trapped and more caged and like they can't let themselves be free. I just had a moment. I went to visit a friend in Vancouver, and we went to some kind of fancy sushi restaurant. And there were two little girls. I was talking to my partner in the bathroom, and they came out of the stall, and one of the girls was just like had a very revolted look on her face and was just staring at me like in the mirror and wouldn't break eye contact. It was wild. I had to break eye contact. That was jarring too, because it's usually boys. It's not usually girls. And that made me sad too, because I'm like, I'm just standing there as a fat person in a flamboyant outfit, standing there. So it's just, it breaks my heart a little bit that a child would be so openly repulsed by that. They have to try to make me feel smaller. Especially as a kid. Also underlines even more the importance of us being free, right? Because like that dancing guy, like the ripples are meaningful. If we're being challenging, then there's something that needs to be challenged.
It is really heartbreaking to see younger kids and, feeling so threatened by someone else's freedom. That's really sad. And, but at the same time, the fact that they even saw you and had that experience somewhere inside of them, they know it's only because there's a part of them that could be this too. And they're not being allowed.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's like, it's a reaction because of how they feel trapped or caged. And so that's what it ultimately is kind of a good thing, even though it's like weird in the moment.
Where would you say the strength to be yourself, to withstand being misunderstood, where do you think that comes from?
I think I think part of it, feeling more comfortable being seen or misunderstood or like, and being, taking up space came a lot through grief, grieving my dad dying. I don't know, when he died, I just couldn't function the same. Yes. Hi, baby. I couldn't function the same way anymore. My coping mechanisms just didn't work anymore. So I had to confront gnarly things that had happened, abuse that I faced when I was a kid, and not by my family, by the way. Just kind of confront all these things that I had been numbing and burying, and then also grieve my dad, who is this like very beautiful, profound man that I wish I had more time with. And that led me to, I feel like I purged so much in that year of intense grief that I started feeling more comfortable being seen and being heard and taking up space, like I said. And then also I couldn't live any other way. I really couldn't. I have to have color and vibrancy. I have to feel powerful.
Did your dad see you? Did he embrace and understand you?
I wish we had more time for him to fully see me. Like, I felt he was magical. I think he felt I was magical as well. And I know he loved me profoundly, but I do wish we had more time. Like, I wish he had time so that he could know that I was gay and that he could have met my partner. And she reminds me of him. It was his death that made me unearth more of myself, but I wish it hadn't been that way.
To me, the answer to the question of where do you get your strength is how much he unconditionally loved you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right. I've had moments of remembering. It's not even a memory, but I just know that like when I was young, he poured a lot of love into me. Like when I, didn't have even a conscious mind. And I think that really formed some kind of core within me that I'm like, can't even comprehend. I'm very grateful for.
That is something to be really grateful for. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's so totally essential is that, that unconditional love from a parent is what I think gives you the foundation to, like, it gives you, like, it's like less work to have to get there.
Yeah, I think you're right. I hadn't thought about it so directly before, but I definitely think you're right. And even to accept love from other people as well. Like with my partner now, it wasn't easy to accept her love. Like I still had a lot of defenses up, but I think if I hadn't had my dad's love, I wouldn't have been able to accept it.
And what are those defenses about?
It's hard to say. Somewhere along the line, it's complicated, but I experienced like trigger warning, some like sexual abuse as a kid. And then some more as an adult as well, or like a teen. And then also, there's a million other things that happen throughout life. I built up this concept of that you have to be alone, being alone, and you take care of yourself, and that's what's safe. And that you can really never trust anyone. No one like can really love you fully, every part of you. And just these subconscious feelings. So it felt very right to be alone. And I felt very full. I felt very, content, but then somehow, I met this person who is so very pure and loving, and open, in a very rare way. And I knew, though my defenses really wanted to push her away, I was like, how can I deny what is so clearly such a profound gift? I can't. So I had to do a lot of weird, gross work to get there.
What do you mean?
Well, I had a lot of repressed feelings and shame, from my sexuality and from my first love. Like I accidentally fell in love with a friend, when I was a teenager, and then just continued being the closest friends ever, and never processed that. So I had all these repressed feelings and shame and love, and I'd shamed myself so much. So much of myself felt wrong. To confront that was like not easy.
So she came as like an angel.
Yeah.
The teachers come in all forms.
Totally.
The things that you don't want to face necessarily.
Yeah. Who do you feel has been like unexpected teachers for you?
Oh God. Well, I've been with my husband for 39 years.
Wow.
Definitely been my greatest teacher because of how deeply, for many reasons, it's not so dissimilar from yours in that. Well, no, I don't even know. I take that back. Take that back. I'm not sure about this with you, but to me, he is incredibly unconditionally loving and sees me and allows me to be myself in a way that I never experienced ever. And I feel so trusting, and it really regulates a very dysregulated nervous system that I have had since inception. But at the same time, he also triggers me the most deeply because of his own trauma. When we get into this thing, like when those two, when our triggers cross, forget it. Like, and it's like two really deeply wounded children, incapable of like really struggling to lift out of that place, that really dark place. For me, the biggest trigger is when I get disappointed, like when I get let down. And I'll be like saying something deeply emotional, like profoundly emotional, and he'll go say something about the weather.
Oh no. Yeah.
That kind of thing. And I lose it.
I feel you. I think it really sounds like you're describing the dynamic of me and my partner. There's a lot of similarities there. And I'm with you too. Like that's happened to me before where, saying something incredibly vulnerable. Yeah. And then that sting and being let down. It's eerily similar. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that we get exactly what we need, in that way we get what we need, and you can resist it. You can have your hands like this. You can say, no, you can say, I don't want this pain. I'm going to leave the pain. I'm going to walk away from the pain. There were so many times that I've almost did that. And I'm so glad that I haven't, because we have grown so much together. And, we once we go through one of those really hard times, we then go into like a really great time and like better than ever. And that continues to happen. Someone showed us yesterday in an interview that like a dahlia in slow motion and how it becomes a dahlia, the flower. And it's like literally going like this,
Wow.
That's how I feel about the relationship. Like I go in and feeling like I'm stretched to the max and I absolutely can't handle this. This pain is absolutely undealable. And then I feel the opposite. I feel like, and then that leads me to like a much better place and a much more deeply loving place. And yeah, so we've both grown a lot, and he's a humongous teacher, like in so many different ways. I mean, sticking with it, not running from the pain, and and trusting. He's just enough trust, that I've stayed with it. Because I never really felt that kind of trust where I could just let my guard down and just know that he'll be there.
Yeah, that's so profound. I really appreciate you sharing that. It's really, really cool to hear that he's such a teacher for you, and that you're able to evolve together. And there's the periods like the Dahlia, like you said. Every relationship I've ever seen has fallen apart. Like my parents were divorced each 4 times separately. So it's really beautiful to hear that you have this dynamic, that you're able to be free. And though there is the really tricky points, you can still evolve, and it's always impermanent, but changing together.
And it's within the structure is the freedom in a certain level. It's a very Buddhist, tenet, staying in the structure, and we're really rare birds that way these days, has definitely led us both to much greater freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
That's
just
beautiful.
worked. You've probably said it already, but is there anything that you felt that you rejected about yourself, that when you embraced it, it became like a superpower?
Yeah, I would say being gay and being fat, both. Being gay, I really, had a lot of shame around it, even after coming out. I've talked about falling in love with my friend, shaming myself for that, shaming myself for attraction and love that I didn't choose. Yeah, that was a process. And then finally, being in this relationship, it's really beautiful, obviously. And fatness was something that was so looked down upon, obviously with the outside world, but within my own family and the dynamic of growing up. It's always this thing that you needed to rectify or be afraid of. So to become fat, I genuinely am grateful, very grateful to be fat, because I know I wouldn't feel the way I do now. I wouldn't have had the experience that I've had. And to feel powerful and beautiful and whole as a fat person, and cool, and I'm very grateful for that. Fully.
Yeah, to go it was your teacher.
Completely. Yeah, it taught me a lot. And it feels kind of radical to be fat and not I'm not shrinking.
It is radical.
Yeah.
It is a radical act. And is there any other insecurity or shame area, anything that you're working on now?
Yeah, I think I have my scarf that I wear, that I've worn for so long, which is my double chin scarf. And I take it off more, than I used to in the past. And I used to swim in a full robe and scarf and stuff. And now physically I can wear swimsuits. I feel a lot freer within my body. And even in front of my family, which is a big deal for me. But I think that's still shame of how the outside world will judge my body is still present, and still something I'm going to probably be working on forever. And also I think not feeling inferior to try new things, I think creatively and career-wise, trust in my desires and in my own power and capabilities. Yeah.
Can you give an example of how you've done that, how you've stepped away from something and into something else and there was fear?
Yeah. I've always been a writer my whole life, all throughout my childhood and teen years. And then I went to school for creative writing, university, and I stopped for a really long time because I going to university for writing turned me off of it completely. And I've been writing for years now since I stopped doing YouTube. I still feel a lot of fear because it's so, it feels very vulnerable in a very different way, but I'm actively putting myself out there in different ways now.
Writing.
Writing, yeah.
It's so funny to me with how unbelievably bold and brave you are with how you express yourself verbally. Mm-hmm. And it's very articulate. You can tell you're a writer. Mm-hmm. Even if you're like rambling, even if it's like you just going, because that is writing, you know, like, yeah. I love the way you do that on those YouTube videos. That you just like let it be this unwieldy kind of, and you have to follow you through all, mm-hmm. your shame and your, why am I doing this? And I'm, mm-hmm. This could be worse, so much worse. And like all these things that we say to each other, like, mm-hmm. like that we say to ourselves, like the negative voices, like people have had it worse, I shouldn't be upset about this.
Totally.
You did that around that. I watched the one about your molestation when you were younger, and I was like, yes, you can feel horrible about this, and like you're allowed to. Of course, you are.
Thank you.
And so it's so interesting that we have to, we continuously in life are faced with the next thing.
Yeah, fully. I have grown a lot in that regard. Of not trying to minimize or compare specifically from being molested. I've grown a lot in that perspective. And it's a constant thing. It's you gotta keep rerouting.
Right. And stepping into the next challenge, that feels aligned.
Yes, totally. It can be scary.
Yeah, it's very scary. Mm-hmm. It's very scary. Yes, I believe in myself. Yes, I believe. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yeah. And what would you say has been the greatest act of self-love, if you had to pick one?
Lately, greatest act of self-love. I think moving forward with writing is an act of self-love. I'm like betting on myself. I've been with my partner for 5 years now, and I only become more and more open to accepting her love. And that's an act of self-love because mm-hmm. she's a really beautiful and rare soul. I feel like I've mentioned dancing 400 times, but dancing is such a joyous thing that I'm glad that I make space for.
Yeah, I need to do that more, the dancing part, because I feel like moving your body in that way is really good it's a very healing thing to do. I tend to I ride my bike for miles. I swim. I exercise a lot, but there's something about just that looseness of like dancing and like, I don't know. I think it's because you're feeling too, like the right song comes on. And you're just dancing, and then the right song comes on, and suddenly you're like cry dancing, or you're furious, or you feel like a crazy spark of power. You're just, something is coming out of you that's so like feral, and you didn't know it was there. Yeah, it's really letting go of control. True. Yeah, which is hard. Oh. It's too hard. Probably should do it when it's the hardest, when your body wants to freeze. Yeah. I had to do that last night. It's tough. I have OCD, so it's fully about control. So you're like, and then you just, let it go. And obviously that feels so much better, but it's tough to let go of your tight, sweaty little grip. Oh my God. I feel that. You're inspiring me. I need to do it just when I'm feeling that tightness. Mm-hmm. You have to often do the opposite thing of what your nervous system, what your the things that are built in that want you to, that feel danger. Yeah. Totally. Like you're like cling. Yeah, safe by restricting, and you have to do the opposite. You have to do you have to take up more space. You have to move more. Yes. You have to say the thing you're afraid to say. You have to Like the way you just do the video and you just say what you feel.
Yeah.
The ripple effect of that is so incredible.
Totally. Yeah. This is meaningful. I feel like you're inspiring.
I feel it. I feel it myself.
Yeah.
What does self-acceptance mean to you?
It means letting yourself be free. It means letting yourself follow your true instincts, letting yourself be misunderstood, letting, sitting in the discomfort of that, and falling back on what you know is true and right for yourself. Just reveling in that.
I have found being misunderstood is probably my biggest, I would say, one of my biggest sources of shame and trauma. And the more that I have stood my ground and allowed myself to be misunderstood, the more my life has become better. Like the more I've put boundaries around that and not tried to be understood, instead just said, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it is really powerful. And I think I'm trying to like learn that lesson more right now, as far as sometimes there's like people that you love, but you just can't, they can't understand you, who you are now. And
exactly.
Yeah. How do you navigate that? But yeah, letting yourself be misunderstood and sticking up for yourself.
You let it be. You allow the discomfort.
Yeah. Allow that.
It's a very uncomfortable feeling. It's horrible, but you allow it. It eventually goes away and it makes you stronger, I think. When do you feel the most beautiful?
I would say in nature, alone, having some kind of movement, whether swimming or scootering or moving the wrists in a fanciful way. Yeah. When do you feel the most beautiful?
When I'm feeling my heart open, like now, and connection, creativity. When I feel like the love kind of coming through me and out of me and through me, and like that feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Open, a heart open.
That is the most beautiful thing in the world, an open heart.
Yeah, and it's literally been medicine for me. And I know that sounds so, these things, I can't even deal with like the cliche. It's not a cliche, sorry. Like it's a really hard thing to do. It takes fucking like a lot of fucking work. So like it's not a cliche.
It's not. 'Cause like we've been saying, it's so much easier to be closed and guarded and protected.
To hate.
Yes. So to be open, and be able to connect in a real way is so, so profound and just completely beautiful.
So do you have hope?
Yes, I have a lot of hope. I do. Because from like the beginning too, that hum that I feel, that I know is within all of us and all around us. I hear it louder and louder as time goes on. And though there's all these horrors, there's so much horror. There's so much darkness and evil and pain. But the fact that I hear and feel this hum louder and louder, I know that that's not all there is. And there is so much deeper beyond that, and that we can be better. I believe that.
Me too. I believe it too. I have a lot of hope. I have total hope. I have total hope. What a great ending.
This is such a delight. I have almost cried so many times. It has been a real gift and pleasure, and the ripples that you've created for me in this conversation are very profound to me, and I'm very grateful for them and for you.
Thank you. The feeling is totally mutual. I feel so much love for you, and I hope that we can meet in person But I'm so excited to just watch all of your growth and your writing, and you spark a lot of joy.